guys? Welcome back to BTTS Podcast, where we give our unsolicited advice and opinions on all things marriage, raising children, and healthcare. We want to thank you for liking, subscribing, and continuing to tune in. Here we go.
I don't know if I'm going to actually post this because this is super vulnerable for me, and I'm a pretty open person. But earlier this year, I told my husband I wanted a divorce. And this would probably shock a lot of my friends and my family because I hadn't told anybody, okay? I walked myself through the logistics of where would I live, how would we split the time with the kids, who gets the dog, where all of those things, okay? Had a full breakdown. I feel like I have been searching for something in my relationship that we don't have for the whole time we've been married, which has been 10 years. There is not a single thing about my husband in and of himself that I do not love. Let me be very clear about that. He is the most self-disciplined, loyal, hardworking, good person that you could meet on this planet. And that is probably the reason why I have not left. Okay. Our relationship and what my expectations are for my marriage and what they always have been are not met, right? Which I don't know if anybody's are. The reason that pushed me to even bring up divorce and talk about it was the fact that I feel like I can't be myself with my husband. And it's really confusing because I'm 32 years old. I am a mom of 3. And I still don't know who I am. So for me to be like, oh, I can't be myself, or you don't love me for who I am, isn't really fair because I don't know who I am. I'm figuring that out every day. But the reason why I wanted to share this on here in the first place is we are coming up on our 10-year anniversary. We're going to Mexico, to Cabo, for our 10-year anniversary trip. And we're rewriting our vows. We never wrote vows in the first place. We didn't have vows when we got married. And I'm struggling to write my vows, like to write a vow. And I think that's because I still feel very unsure in our relationship. The one thing that we finally talked about this past week together, because it's just been something that since we kind of talked about it and I brought it up and we committed to change and we committed to working on our relationship, I started my own business, he quit his job, roles have changed, life has been crazy, and we just haven't come back to talking about this subject. And I brought it up again because I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you, like writing these vows is hard. I don't feel like we're any closer. I don't feel like anything has really changed since I brought this up 6 months ago, 9 months ago, whatever. And I want to work on our relationship. Like at the end of the day, of course, I could get a divorce and try to go find the love that I'm craving with somebody else. But that's going to come with its own hardships, its own complications, and ones that I'm not willing to take on, right? I love Ryan. He is the best father, okay? I just need to learn how to explain what I need from him in our relationship, and he needs to be able to give that, and I need to be doing the same for him so that we can both, like, in 10 years from now, in the next 10 years, look back and say, like, we put in the work and we finally have the marriage and the relationship that we have always wanted. And that is what I want. I guess the reason why I'm coming on here, and if you've made it this long, that's really nice. What have you done in your relationship to get to that point? If you have been in a place where we are and have worked through it and have found things that have brought you closer or that have given you that relationship, like I'm just, I guess, asking for advice. Like, what have you done in order to get there and what has worked for you? We're honestly willing to try anything. We have done therapy and counseling before. And it was fine, honestly. It wasn't like my favorite thing, but I'm willing to try that again. And I don't know, books, podcasts, like what have you guys done that has worked for you to get your marriage to where you want it to be? I just don't like thinking, okay, we've been married for 10 years and we've kind of like been at this same point the whole time. I just don't want to look back 10 years from now and not have tried my best to have this like relationship that we both want and that we deserve and that our kids deserve to see in us. So I'm kind of being vulnerable and posting this on here, but I would just like to know, like, what has worked for you and what advice, I guess, you would have for me. Thanks.
So I'll say this. I think, first of all, I'm going to say, watch the entire video. Watch the video in its entirety. But I think, you know how when we were younger and you would see on TV, you know, Bob divorced his wife and ran out and bought a Ferrari and he was having a midlife crisis. I think a lot of us in this age group are having a midlife crisis and we don't know that. It's a lot of, you see a lot of, I'm not happy in my marriage. My partner isn't doing anything wrong. They're an amazing person, but I'm missing something. I think that we're going through a midlife crisis and we just don't recognize it. And it's difficult to have it. And she even says it in the video. I feel like I can't be myself with him, but I don't even know who I am. Now, she's 32. They've been married for 10 years, which means they got married when she was 22. That is very, very young. You don't know who you are at that age. Even at 32, you don't fully know who you are. I'm 40 and I'm just figuring out who I really am. To leave your marriage, to leave your family, especially when you're verbalizing that actually my spouse is an amazing person, they're not doing anything wrong, I just feel like I'm missing something, is insane. And we've talked about this before. We get into these emotions and we make emotional decisions that has us doing permanent things that we can't fix, that we can't undo. Now, I'm not saying stay in this marriage if you're miserable. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is actually take a step back and look at what you're complaining about, what it is that's bothering you. Because again, it doesn't sound like it's anything that he's doing. It sounds like there's something that you have to figure out within yourself. And that is exactly what a midlife crisis is. You haven't figured out something for yourself and you don't know where to go from here. So you're trying everything. I need to start new. I need a fresh start. I need to change some things. I need to be very, very drastic. And one of the most drastic things I could do is get a divorce. I'm ripping lives apart here. And I would not suggest it. I wouldn't suggest going out and buying a Ferrari either. Mm-mm. I would suggest that you got into some type of counseling, that you sat down and really dug into yourself to see what's going on within yourself, because your partner's not going to be able to fix it if you can't even identify it. Their partner is not the one that's going to make you happy. You have to figure out how to make yourself happy, how to fulfill whatever it is within you that you're missing, not just running away from it.
Yeah. And can I'm just say this, and it's not really to anything that you just said, but can we stop getting on social media and telling everybody that we're divorcing our husbands or, you know, whatever problems that we have in our relationship? I don't really know what we're seeking when we do these types of things. I guess we're seeking for camaraderie or something like that, or people who have gone through these certain types of things. But I don't know how this helps anything. This is kind of the same thing as taking your problems to people in your family or to all your friends. And now you have your friends looking at you and your partner, and mainly looking at your partner like they're worthless and they're a piece of crap. And they can't understand why you still with this person, you know, because you can get back to the situation with your partner. Y'all can work it out. And now all of a sudden you don't feel the same way about your partner as you were feeling when you brought this to your friends or your family, but they still feel the same way. They're not going to ever forget that. You might not forget it either, but it will definitely be at the back of your head or swept under the rug. Right. So this is the same thing. Now in the video, obviously she basically said that she wasn't really divorcing him, and she didn't say that he was a piece of crap. she said that he was a great guy. But even just presenting this is still problematic, you know? And I don't know, in these situations when these things are being presented, I don't know if the conversation is being had prior. Hey, I'm going to, go on the internet and present these things. It seems to me that this will cause more of a problem down the line, especially if you're trying to work things out. But to go into what you were saying, yeah, I don't think that you should be trying to delete your whole relationship when there's an issue within yourself that you haven't solved. I don't know what other type of, rationale to give to that, because again, it's purely emotional. You don't really have a full lane of logic behind why you would be making this decision, especially after you've gotten into the marriage for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you've actually created human beings within this, because this is going to affect everybody, unfortunately. And I don't know how to really acknowledge the fact that, you may be having some form of midlife crisis and try to use that to rationalize the fact that you should leave what you're in. Now, I know some people might
rationalizing it. You need to get out of your midlife crisis.
Right. But, some people might look at it and like, well, yeah, you probably need to go before you destroy their lives even more. I don't know. I think you should try to fix yourself, and again, this goes back to what we were saying. If you have a problem, we have a problem.
Right.
So how can we help you fix whatever's going on? So you're saying that you don't know who you are? All right, honey. Well, let's look at it like this. You don't know who you are? All right. So let's sit down and let's write some things out. Let's go through a plan to help you figure this out. Do you think that you need some more hobbies? Okay. All right. So let's go through some hobbies. Let's go through and let's pick out. I'll help you. Don't leave me, please. Don't leave the kids. I love you. Let's sit down and let's try to figure this thing out together. And, people will look at this and be like, oh, she's a terrible person and the husband is great. And even if she was a terrible person in this particular setting, I think that if he loves her, he's going to sit down and try to help her figure this thing out, because you want to see the best out of your partner. You want to see them happy, especially if you're not the one causing the discomfort in a relationship. It's something that's internal. You don't want to see your partner struggling with something internal. You want to do whatever you can to kind of help her or help him. Right?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I do want to go back to something that you said about people getting on the internet and blasting their business and keeping them to themselves. I'm going to say this. I hear what you're saying, and I agree. I do think that we got to stop getting on the on this internet and letting all of our dirty laundry air itself out.
Because it lives forever.
Right. And millions of people see it. However, I don't think that if you're struggling with something, you should have to keep it to yourself. Sometimes you need outside support, and sometimes your spouse is not enough. Sometimes you need others that you can talk to and run this by, and they can give you some feedback. The key is finding those people who you can actually do that with. For some people, it's only going to be a counselor. You don't have the right people in your life that you can go to and talk to and get advice from and grow with and things like that. For others, you are going to have a group of friends or, girlfriends, male friends that you can go to and have these conversations with, and those conversations stay within them, and they're going to offer you love and support and guidance, and they're not going to hold on to whatever the partner did. They're going to be able to, if you're happy, I'm happy, and it's cool, right? Holding it in can sometimes make the situation worse, because now you feel like you're in this alone and you don't have anyone that you can lean on for support. With that being said, I still caution you on running and telling it to everybody, because everyone does not have your best interest in mind. They don't. And even the ones that do have your best interest in mind, again, when you say something negative about your partner, they're going to hold on to that, and they're never going to let it go. And now they're going to be looking at your partner sideways, and your partner going to be trying to figure out, well, why is Beverly always side-eyeing me? I thought me and Bev was cool. Whole time y'all not, because you did something 10 years ago that your wife, your husband, whoever went and ran and told Bev, and now Bev is mad. So I caution you on that. But find a therapist or a trusted friend or mentor or someone that you can have these conversations with so that you're not alone. Might just need to be your partner that you're having a conversation with. I implore you to have those conversations with your partner because they are in this relationship with you. And at the end of the day, wholeheartedly, without a doubt, if you have a problem, they have a problem because it is y'all's relationship.
So I want to go back to what you just said. So first of all, if you're going to have those conversations with outside sources that's outside of like a therapy or something like that, you would need to approach it in a way that it is still you and your partner against the problem and not you against your partner.
Yes.
Because it needs to be very much so, I'm not going to talk down on my partner out there in public. We'll correct each other in person, but not in public. But I do want to go back though, because even in that, you got to ask yourself, because everybody's not going to approach it like that, right? You got to ask yourself, so where's the line with that? And you know, I ask you this question all the time. Where is the line? Like, what do you not share with people? Because it can get very blurred, and there is, I don't see where the line would be.
You kind of have to figure it out for yourself. Like, I can't, and honestly, even for myself, I don't know where the line would be. I don't know until I get there.
But see, that could be kind of dangerous though, because if you don't know where the line is, then the line could be anywhere. And then you end up sharing too much, or you end up just doing too much. And then the question is, are you having a conversation with your partner and saying, hey, I think we need more help on this. I'm going to go out and I'm going to talk to, I don't know, Jessica about this. You know what I'm saying? She, you know, Jessica loves you. She loves me. And I don't think there's going to be an issue. Would you be okay with me talking to her about this just to get her insight on it? So if you do it like that, and what if he says no? Then what? And then the question is, should you be running it by him, or should you be running it by her before you expose whatever y'all got going on? Should y'all do it at the same time? But then also the other thing is, should you really be doing it though? Because you still open yourself up for ridicule. You can say that, you know, these people have your best interest, but do they? You don't really ever know. You got to feel it out, obviously, but you would have to really, really trust people to do that.
This is very true. But I have to ask myself, is it more detrimental to hold it in and feel alone in this versus having a conversations with those trusted people? Because the feeling of feeling alone in it could drive you even deeper into it.
I agree with that, but I think it has to be predicated on the fact of whether or not you had this conversation with your partner. The whole conversation, but then also the conversation of, it doesn't seem like we're getting anything done. How do you feel about me talking about this or something? I think if you present it that way, then things might be better. Because if you go and you talk to your homegirl or your parents or somebody without the other partner knowing, then that can lead to another issue. Why are you sharing all our business?
It could. It very well could. So you will have to make a decision on whether or not you're going to inform your partner on it or have this conversation without their knowledge. And I can't say which one you should do.
I mean, because this is a sticky situation.
Some partners are going to be like, no, I don't want you to talk to nobody else about it. But again, that leaves you in a position where you're feeling like you're alone because you need a little bit more support than your partner is able to give. And maybe your partners are willing to go to therapy, or you're not comfortable with going to therapy and you need an opportunity to bounce this off of someone else.
So then in that particular predicament, what you're going to have to do is weigh whether or not you want to be in this relationship or you don't. Because if I tell you that I don't want you sharing this with somebody else, as long as it's not like bodily harm or something crazy like that, if I tell you that I don't want you sharing this with somebody else and you do it, then you just told me that you don't care or respect any of the wishes that I've presented you. And then there's a level of disrespect there. And I don't know if I can trust you anymore.
And I hear you, but I also have to say the opposite. If I'm telling you that I am drowning and your life jacket has holes in it and it is not able to hold me up and I need someone else's life jacket and you tell me, no, you can't use that life jacket. Now I'm over here. I'm drowning.
That's why I said you got to decide, whether or not this is a relationship for you or not. So the next question becomes, because I don't know how many partners would be like, I don't want you to speak to a therapist. Right?
I'm sure it happens.
I'm sure it does happen, but I think that they will take a therapist over just one of your friends. And then the question is your friend single? Is your friend in a successful marriage or relationship?
What if my friend is single, but has the appropriate mindset that can actually help me with this?
Few and far between.
But they exist.
Possibly. I couldn't say yay or nay on that.
They do.
I don't think that most married people should be taking advice from single people.
I know that you don't. And in most cases, I do agree. I do, however, believe that there is a small percentage of single people who can indeed give sound advice.
Can, sure.
And before y'all jump in these comments, I just want to be clear. The rationale behind it is hard to give advice on something that you have never experienced.
Right. Yeah. I personally wouldn't be taking any advice on, our marriage from a single person. I don't recommend anybody do that because I want to build a house. I'm not going to go talk to somebody that just, they build video games, right? And be like, yeah, they said I need to put a 2x4 here when I know a 2x4 wouldn't hold this up.
So let me ask you this. What if your therapist has never been married?
So, see, the difference here is the therapist usually has tools on the human psyche. Most people don't walk around with tools for the human psyche, though, right? And have a background in studying relationships and successful and terrible relationships. Now, don't get me wrong now. Therapy is not going to solve everything for everybody. And some therapists should not be therapists. That's first and foremost. So you're going to have to pick and choose. And when you get into therapy, you're going to really have to listen to what's being said. And if the therapist is placating you, right, and agreeing with everything you said, then more than likely that's probably not the right therapist for you, because what needs to happen is in any given circumstance, in any relationships, there's always going to be two sides to the situation, whatever issue that's going on. And if that therapist isn't willing to call out anything that you may have been doing wrong, because let's be honest, in most situations, I don't care how right you are on something is wrong in the situation or something in the situation that you have done or caused could have been done better, right? So if the therapist isn't willing to ask questions about that or call certain things out and just everything you did is right, then there's a problem here.
I'll let you. That's reasonable. That is a reasonable assumption. I do think that therapists in most cases, in like 85% of the situation, should remain mostly neutral.
Yes.
And not point blame. I will say that when seeking therapy, your therapist should be relatively neutral in the situation and help guide you to these conclusions, you and your partner, to these conclusions and a resolution in the matter. Because
if therapist is anything like the therapist that we had, pretty neutral and guided us to a place to where we can figure it out on our own, gave us the tools to be able to solve the issues on our own. I believe that's how therapy should work. It shouldn't be a person giving you the answer,
right,
and telling you how you should conduct yourself. Because to be completely honest, that answer could be wrong.
Yep.
But if you're guided down a path to figure it out yourself, or given the tools to be able to figure it out for yourself, chances are, if you're doing it logically and not just based and founded in your emotions, then you'll probably come to the best decision for you.
So to kind of sum it up, a lot of us, a lot of our 30s and 40s and 50s, we are going through a midlife crisis, and we are unfortunately making life-altering decisions based on these emotions that we're going through. Take a breath, stop, talk to your partner, dig within yourself and figure out, is this really a relationship problem? Is this a career problem? Or is this a me problem? And figure out how to fix it, whether that be digging into yourself internally or seeking therapy or dealing, directly with your partner, or a combination of the three. It's probably gonna be a combination of the three. Just dig in and figure it out before you make life-altering decisions based off of emotions.
Yeah. But I don't have anything else to add. You got anything else? All right. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell on the way out. See you guys in the next one. Peace.
Night.